My fiancé had suffered from kidney failure, and without a second thought, I gave him one of mine. When he recovered, he held me close and swore that I was the only one he would ever love and that he would never betray me. But everything shattered the day his childhood sweetheart drove drunk, crashed into my father, and fled the scene, leaving him to die. I held the damning evidence in my hand, ready to bring justice for my father. But on my way to report it to the police, he called and threatened me. "Ariella Wurzbach, turn around and bring that footage back. If you want to see your mother alive, do as I say. If you're dead set on destroying Alina Walker, then I won't hesitate to let her go." He had my mother hanging from a rooftop, dangling between life and death. My heart felt like it was being ripped apart. The pain was so deep I could barely breathe. And yet, I still clung to hope. I still believed, naively, that he wouldn't go through with it. Just as I stepped into the police station, my phone buzzed. It was a video. In the footage, my mother was thrown from the building. "Ariella, this is what happens when you disobey. Your father's already dead. Why not just take the hush money and live a good life with me? Why fight me?" On screen, my mother writhed on the pavement, her body convulsing, blood gushing from her mouth. The phone slipped from my trembling hand. I collapsed to the floor, panic crashing over me like a tidal wave. I never thought Maverick Williams would go that far. Never imagined he'd truly lay a deadly hand on my mother. I had given him my kidney to save his life. And in return, he destroyed mine. But there was no time to break down. I forced myself to stand, legs shaking beneath me. I shoved away the officer who reached to help and stumbled out of the station. In my hand was the final piece of evidence, proof of Alina's crime. I had been one step away from justice. But I no longer dared to gamble with Maverick. Not again. For Alina, he would erase me without a second thought. I raced home as fast as I could, heart pounding. And there he was, Maverick, sitting calmly on the sofa, sipping wine, as if he hadn't just shattered my world. I stormed over and slapped the wine glass from his hand. "Maverick, what did you do to my mother? You monster, harboring a criminal wasn't enough? Now you're set on wiping out my entire family?" Enraged, I slapped him, but he caught my wrist and shoved me down onto the sofa. "I told you, your father ran a red light. Alina hit him by accident. It wasn't intentional. She already paid compensation. That should have been the end of it. She's still so young, should she rot in jail over something so small? Something so small? Driving drunk, killing my father, and fleeing the scene. And in his eyes, that was nothing more than a trivial matter. So what counted as serious? Ah, I get it now. Alina would be going to prison. That was the real tragedy, wasn't it? His shameless defense made fury surge in my chest like wildfire, burning my face hot with rage. "Maverick, in your eyes, do the 3 lives of my family not even matter compared to 1 tear from your precious first love?" My voice trembled, and my tears fell onto the hand he had pressed against my chest. Maverick didn't show a trace of remorse, only growing impatience. "Ariella, could you just grow up and look at things from my side for once? I never said those things. But you did them, didn't you?" I used all my strength to shove him away. "My mother, what did you do to her?" "She's fine. Just broke a leg." "Maverick, you're not human. You're not even human." Fury and grief exploded inside me. I struck him again and again, fists, kicks, releasing every ounce of hatred that had built up in my heart. At that moment, whatever love we once shared had died. All that remained was a hatred that could never be mended. "Maverick, we were finished." I grabbed the nearest vase and hurled it with all my might, only to realize it had struck Alina, who had just walked through the door. Chapter 2. Ah. Brother Maverick, it hurts. Alina's in so much pain. The moment Alina let out that sharp, pitiful cry, Maverick, who hadn't lifted a finger to stop me until now, finally snapped. He turned and shoved me hard onto the coffee table. The glass beneath me shattered instantly, and my body crashed into the shards. Bright red blood oozed out, but I felt no pain. Instead, I let out a bitter, broken laugh. I remembered those days when I used to cook for Maverick, and once, at the same time, chopping vegetables, I accidentally nicked my finger. It bled just a little, but he panicked like mad. He scooped me up in his arms, rushed me to the hospital, and insisted only the best doctor treat the tiny wound. But now, that tenderness, that love, he had given it all to someone else. Ariella, don't go too far. I've held back because of what happened to your father, but don't think I don't have limits. Ha ha ha. You tolerated me? Maverick, you threw my mother off a building. You left her disabled. And you dare say you tolerated me? I stood slowly, letting the glass dig deeper into my skin, piercing through me inch by inch. I welcomed the pain, used it to remind myself never to love him again, to carve a clear boundary between us. When Maverick saw the shards embedded in my body, he froze. Ariella, don't use your body to punish me. Until this matter is settled, I won't care. Whether he cared or not no longer mattered. I had nothing left to prove to him. All I needed now was to find my mother. Ariella, I didn't mean to kill your father. I just panicked and ran. Can't you forgive me? I'll kneel and apologize to you. The moment she said that, she made a show of lowering herself in front of me. But I had seen the truth with my own eyes that night, the night I went to confront her. She had been laughing and smoking with her friends, dancing like nothing ever happened. I heard her say my father was just some old man who refused to die, and that his blood had stained the luxury car Maverick gave her. I saw them laugh, mocking how my father had struggled before he died as if it were some cruel joke. If not for that night, I might have believed she was simply scared. If you know you committed a crime, then don't kneel in front of me, go turn yourself into the police. Alina clutched her cheek and burst into tears on the spot, looking so pitiful, as if I had been the one bullying her. Maverick's face darkened instantly. Without hesitation, he raised his hand and struck me. You already hit her with a vase. Why are you still pushing her, hitting her? That slap was clean, decisive. It erased everything that had ever existed between us. There was nothing left. No bond. No warmth. No love. I turned away, my white dress soaked in blood. Maverick used to love seeing me in white. He'd lift me in his arms, spin me around, and call me his little girl forever. But all those once sweet memories unraveled in a flash, rewound into nothingness. Maverick, we're over. You walk your sunny path, I'll walk my lone wooden bridge. Whatever. Maverick carried the perfectly unharmed Alina in his arms and walked out. I didn't waste a second grieving alone. Instead, I rushed straight to the hospital to search for my mother. But after combing through every hospital in the city, I still couldn't find her. That's when it hit me. Maverick must have hidden her. I picked up my phone, furrowed my brows, and dialed his number. Maverick, where did you hide my mother? Don't you dare take this any further. On the other end, I could hear the clink of glass as he swirled his wine, his tone colder than steel. Until you hand over the evidence, you'll never see your mother again. I couldn't believe he would actually use my mother's life as leverage against me. Had all that love been a lie? Just a game to him? Even though I already hated him to the bone, the sting of his cruelty still pierced through my chest. I shut my eyes in pain, my voice was hoarse beyond recognition. Where are you? I'll bring the evidence right now. When I arrived at the apartment, I realized he had given the Seaview place he once gifted me to Alina. As I stepped inside, everything that once belonged to us was gone, replaced by a completely different style. I clutched my chest, but all I felt was hollow emptiness. When Maverick came downstairs with Alina, I lifted the USB in my hand. Maverick, I brought it. If you want it, then tell me, where are you keeping my mother? Alina's face lit up with smug satisfaction the moment she saw the drive. She knew that with Maverick shielding her, nothing, no matter how serious, could ever touch her. She's in my private hospital. The moment I got my answer, I flung the USB straight at his face. Without wasting another second, I turned and walked away. When I finally found my mother's hospital room, I stood frozen, struck like lightning. One of her legs was gone. I shook my head in disbelief, tears falling silently onto the cold, sterile floor. Every step I took toward her felt like walking on nails, sharp, cruel, unbearable. "Mom, what happened to your leg? You only fell from the second floor. It shouldn't have come to this." At the sound of my sobs, she stirred. Her tired eyes opened slowly, meeting mine with pain and exhaustion. It was Alina. She ordered the doctor to amputate it. What? It was her? She hadn't been satisfied with killing my father. Now she had destroyed my mother, too. The fire inside me roared to life, scorching every inch of my being. I wanted nothing more than to rip Alina apart with my bare hands. Just then, my phone rang. It was my lawyer. "Ariella, you need to check the news right now." I grabbed the remote and turned on the TV, searching for the latest broadcast. Every news channel was reporting the same thing, that my father had been drunk and jaywalking when he was struck and killed by a car. But he hadn't been drinking. And he never jaywalked. I knew instantly that it was Maverick's doing. To protect Alina, he had fabricated a false video to smear my father's name. Now that he had the evidence, and I was left empty-handed, they could spin the story however they wanted. I trembled from head to toe, my whole body shaking with rage. Beside me, my mother, already frail, was so distressed by the lies that she started coughing up blood. Her health had been fading ever since my father died. Now, after being thrown from a building and losing her leg, she was permanently crippled. And I couldn't do a thing. "Ariella, don't blame yourself. People like us can't go up against the rich and powerful. Let go of the appeal. I'm terrified they'll come after you next, and if anything happens to you, how would I keep on living?" I was unwilling, so deeply unwilling. But I couldn't touch Alina. Not even with all this hate in my heart. As I walked out of the hospital, I heard people cursing my father, calling him a scammer who tried to extort money, saying he deserved to be hit. They claimed he died rightly. I couldn't hold back. I argued with them in a fury, but someone recognized me as his daughter. Their faces changed. They all stepped back, whispering, like father, like daughter, that I was probably just another fraud looking for pity and compensation. 2 days later, I discharged my mother and held my father's funeral. Halfway through the ceremony, a commotion broke out outside. Someone kicked over the wreaths, ripping apart even the white mourning banners, shredding them into pieces. Chapter 4. I was so furious that I rushed out, only to be forced to the ground by people Alina had ordered, pinned down, and made to kneel. Mrs. Ariana Walker grabbed my chin and slapped me hard across the face. "You little beast. Your father tried to extort my daughter, and you still dare to sue her? To call the police? You think the Walker family is that easy to bully? Smash everything, hard. I want him to have no peace even in death." "No. Please, stop." My mother hobbled out with a cane, trying to stop them, but Alina shoved her to the ground. I struggled with all my might, hatred fueling every ounce of strength in my body. Breaking free from their grip, I grabbed a chair and swung it straight at Alina. But before I could react, someone kicked me from behind, sending me crashing into the wall. And just like always, Maverick appeared. Right on cue. Always there to witness the end, never the beginning. "Brother Maverick, I just brought Mom to apologize to Uncle Liam. I didn't expect Ariella to act like this toward me. Ah. It hurts so much." Maverick scooped her into his arms, casting a cold, sharp glare in my direction. "Ariella, didn't I tell you this ends here? Why won't you listen? That's not how it happened. She brought people here and destroyed the funeral. No, we didn't. She's lying." Alina immediately burst into exaggerated sobs, then collapsed to the ground as if she'd fainted. Ariana jumped in without missing a beat. "My daughter's already suffering from depression because of your father's case. She even tried to take her own life. I beg you. Please let her live." Everything we said, Maverick refused to believe. Yet every word from those two vipers, he treated like gospel. Someone, destroy the funeral for me. Ariella, this is your third strike. If you go against me again, I'll make sure you never forget it for the rest of your life. With that, he turned and carried Alina out. She peeked through one eye and threw us a mocking face. When my mother saw my father's black and white portrait ripped to shreds, she fainted on the spot from sheer rage. I panicked, rushing her to the hospital for emergency care, hands trembling as I dialed a number on my phone. When the call connected, I broke down completely. Help me. I really have nowhere else to go. Only the sound of my sobs echoed down the cold hospital hallway. Not long after the call ended, a video call from Alina popped up. TSK TSK TSK, crying so pitifully. Too bad, Brother Maverick is still standing on my side. I was the one who drunk drove and killed your father, you know? He was still alive at first, but I hated how his blood stained the car Maverick gave me. It scared my dog, so I stepped on the gas and sent him straight to heaven. You see this white pipe here? That's the leg I had your mother's doctor amputate after I tossed her from the building. I made it into a pipe, just for you. A souvenir. Ha 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 ha. I curled around my phone, trembling, broken, yet the fire in my chest burned hotter than ever. You monster, you're no different from the beasts who once slaughtered civilians. Oh? You guessed right. I actually got the idea from a documentary about the Japanese turning bones into pipes. Alina, I curse you, may you die a miserable death. I lost all sense of reason and charged at Alina, ready to risk everything, to drag her down with me. I slashed the knife toward her with all my strength, but she only screamed for help with a twisted smile, like everything was unfolding exactly as she had planned. A warning shot rang out. Maverick's man had opened fire, and the bullet grazed my hand. Ariella, are you insane? You tried to kill someone with a knife? My eyes burned crimson, fury roaring through my chest like wildfire, an inferno I could no longer contain. Yes, I'm crazy. As long as I'm still breathing, I'll kill her. Maverick, don't you dare put on that pained, disappointed face. You make me sick. Fine. You asked for it. She's yours to do whatever you want. With those cold words, Maverick turned and walked away. Maverick, you're not human. You're a beast. What are you all standing around for? Go get her. Terrified, I tore myself free and ran, but just then, the hospital called. My mother was gone. I froze. It felt like lightning had struck me, and in that moment of shock, they caught me. They ripped at my clothes, pinned me down, and refused to let me move. I shut my eyes in despair. At the sound of a gunshot, my eyes snapped open. I knew it was him. He had come to save me. Chapter 5. Maverick rushed Alina into the emergency room, even though she was unharmed. Still, he called in every available doctor to treat her. President Williams, Miss Walker isn't injured. May I return to my other patients? Her wrist is scraped, how is that nothing? Alina cares about her appearance. If there's even a faint scar, she'll be devastated. Enough. Just treat her. The doctors had no choice but to obey. Maverick stepped out into the hallway alone, leaving Alina behind, and lit a cigarette. He didn't understand what was wrong with him. He felt constantly on edge. Images of me swinging the knife at Alina kept flashing through his mind. The moment he recalled the cold, bloodthirsty glare in my eyes, his heart grew even more restless. Ariella, how did you become like this? Why can't you just listen to me? Why must you fight me every step of the way? For the first time, Maverick smoked through an entire pack of cigarettes in a single night. The smoke stung his eyes, leaving them bloodshot and sore. By the time he crushed the last one into the ashtray, the first light of dawn had already crept across the sky. He hadn't slept at all. Exhaustion weighed heavily on his face. As he watched the sun rise in the east, fragments of memories with me came flooding back, each one vivid, each one painful. They were once beautiful moments, but now, we can only meet in the past. In the present, we stood on opposite sides. The thought made Maverick tug at his collar in frustration, unease gnawing at his chest. Had he done the wrong thing? Before he could think further, Alina walked up behind him and wrapped her arms around his waist, resting her head gently on his back. "Brother Maverick, why don't you just break up with Ariella? You love me, not her." Before she could finish, Maverick stepped forward and pulled away, widening the gap between them. "Alina, who told you I love you? You misunderstood. The only one I've ever loved is Ariella. I helped you because your father and mine were sworn brothers. Before he passed, he asked me to take care of you and your mother." Alina instantly panicked. She had always mistaken Maverick's protection for love. She never expected that, in his eyes, she was nothing more than a sister. She couldn't accept it, deeply unwilling. But she was shrewd enough not to act out. She quickly forced down the storm of emotions brewing inside. She would wait for the day Maverick and I were completely torn apart. Once we became enemies, she believed she would finally win him over. "I'm sorry, brother Maverick. I misunderstood. I hope you won't hold it against me." Watching her act so soft and obedient, Maverick suddenly felt a twinge of guilt for speaking so harshly earlier. He lifted his hand and gently stroked her hair. "It's fine. Chapter 6 looks like she's fine now. I should head back and check on her, see if she's learned her lesson. But last night, you had people mess with her. What if those men?" "You're overthinking it. I only meant to scare her. The men who've worked under me for years, don't they know what I truly meant?" Alina hid her trembling hands behind her back, her entire body shaking from rage. She didn't dare let Maverick see the twisted expression on her face, so she clenched her jaw and forced herself to stay composed. Maverick rushed back at full speed, only to be greeted by a horrifying sight. His men collapsed on the ground, arms and legs broken, blood soaking into the floor. Panic surged through him. His heart dropped. Had something happened to me? Without a moment's hesitation, he pulled up the surveillance footage. The instant he saw me pinned to the floor, my clothes being violently torn, his mind went utterly blank. He had only told them to scare me. How could they misunderstand and do this? The footage stopped there. Nothing beyond that would play. Frustrated, Maverick smashed his phone, not daring to imagine what might have happened after that, whether his men had violated me. He stormed over, grabbed one of the injured bodyguards, and splashed water over his face to jolt him awake. "What exactly did you do to her last night? Speak." Faced with Maverick, who looked like a vengeful ghost thirsting for blood, the bodyguard trembled and confessed without hesitation. "President Williams, we understood your meaning. But Miss Walker told us to turn the act into reality. She ordered us actually to hurt her." Maverick slammed the guard's head against the floor, fury burning in his eyes. "You fucking liar. Alina would never do something like that." The guards had expected he wouldn't believe them. That was why, when Alina gave the command, they had followed it without question. After all, she was the one Maverick cherished most. But just in case he turned on them later, they had secretly recorded her orders. When the recording played, Maverick stood frozen. Alina's twisted, gleeful voice echoed through the room, giving graphic instructions on how they should play with me. "President Williams, do you believe us now?" Still burning with fury, Maverick lifted his foot and stomped down hard on the man's groin. "Then did you do it to her? Tell me." The bodyguard turned ghostly pale, pain contorting his face as he frantically shook his head. "No. We didn't. Absolutely not." Only then did Maverick finally let out a tense breath. "Then where the hell did she go? And what happened to all of you?" He didn't believe I could fight back with such force. It made no sense. "We don't know either." A group of men in black suddenly barged in, strong, well-trained. They beat us down like nothing and rescued Miss Wurzbach. The leader picked her up and carried her out. After that, we lost sight of them. "You bastards. You defied my orders. You nearly ruined her. For the first time, Maverick felt grateful to someone. Grateful that someone had arrived in time to save me. But what he didn't know was that the man would soon become his greatest enemy. Without hesitation, Maverick turned and ordered his assistant. Find out who that man is. Now. He had already made up his mind once he found me, he would speak to me properly and apologize. He hoped we could both give each other a way out. He even instructed his assistant to find out which hospital my mother had been in. He wanted to go in person and express his remorse. Minutes later, his phone rang. President Williams, I found the information, but... The assistant hesitated. Maverick's patience wore thin. Speak. Miss Wurzbach's mother, she was in the same hospital as Miss Walker. She suffered a sudden heart attack and was on the verge of dying. But because you ordered all the doctors to prioritize Miss Walker, she didn't make it. Chapter 7 Time seemed to freeze. Only Maverick's uneasy heartbeat echoed in his ears. The hand gripping his phone trembled uncontrollably. If Ariella's mother had also died because of him, then from that moment on, he and Ariella would become nothing but strangers. He hadn't meant to kill her mother when he ordered her thrown from the second floor. He had calculated everything. The fall wasn't high, and there had been grass below. It was only meant to scare Ariella. So how had it come to this? They used to love each other deeply. He had once sworn that he'd never betray her. Yet for Alina, he had broken that promise again and again. The ache in his chest grew heavier, a dull pain gnawing at his heart. He had destroyed the Wurzbach family, torn them apart piece by piece, to shield Alina. But in the end, he had completely lost the only woman he ever truly loved. President Williams, are you still there? I also uncovered something else, something Alina did to Miss Wurzbach's mother. Maverick's brows knit tightly, his voice low and strained through gritted teeth. Tell me everything. After Miss Wurzbach's mother was pushed from the second floor, she didn't suffer any major injuries at first. But Alina wasn't satisfied. She bribed and threatened the doctors, and had her leg amputated by force. What? Maverick's eyes shot open in disbelief, his chest tightening as the truth sank in. In that moment, his mind flashed back to the funeral. He hadn't looked closely, but now he remembered. Her mother had walked with a limp. So all of this, all of it, had been real. And what had he done for Alina? He had turned a blind eye and shielded her. Destroyed Ariella's father's funeral with his own hands. Sir, it was Alina and her mother who caused the chaos at the funeral. They weren't there to mourn or apologize, they went to wreck it. And you helped them do it, without knowing the truth. Even the assistant now sounded ashamed and sympathetic for Ariella. He couldn't understand why Maverick would go to such extremes for that vicious mother and daughter pair. Why didn't you investigate earlier and tell me? Maverick erupted in rage, his sudden outburst startling the assistant. President Williams, even if we had looked into it, we wouldn't have dared tell you. The way you treated Ariella for Alina's sake, what chance did we have? If we'd spoken up back then, we might not even be alive now. Maverick stood stunned, crying or laughing, neither seemed appropriate. He staggered slightly, utterly shaken. He had made a mistake. A grave mistake. He never should have blindly followed his father's dying wish and spoiled Alina without limits. But now what? Things had already spiraled beyond control. What he wanted most at that moment was to find Ariella and give her a proper explanation. Listen to me, find Ariella, no matter what it takes. Meanwhile, I was being tended to in the back courtyard, slowly recovering from my injuries under David Garcia's care. Thankfully, he had arrived just in time that night, otherwise, I would have been violated without a doubt. Speaking of David, there was a time I had saved his life. The Garcia family operated both in legal and underground circles, holding power over the southern city. But naturally, that kind of dominance attracted hidden threats. Enemies had targeted David. During a school-organized outing, we encountered a group of assassins. We were placed in the same group and ended up caught in the chaos together. As we fled, they pursued us relentlessly. Not wanting to drag me down, David suggested we split up, then deliberately drew the assassins toward himself. I had made it out safely, but he was caught. I was terrified and didn't want to go back. But my conscience refused to let me walk away. After a long inner struggle, I turned around and ran back. I saw someone aiming a gun at David. Terrified but desperate, I pulled out the slingshot from my bag, loaded a small stone, and fired it straight at the gunman's hand. That split-second distraction gave David the chance he needed. He shifted immediately, fought back, and wrestled the gun away. In the next instant, he fired back in a flurry of bullets. Chapter 8. I had been so terrified that I crouched on the ground, sure we were both going to die. But we didn't. The Garcia family's men arrived just in time. David looked down at me from above and said, "You saved my life. I owe you a favor. If you're ever in trouble, call me. I'll help you, no matter what." I never thought he would keep that promise after all these years. You're awake. A deep, magnetic voice snapped me out of my thoughts. Our eyes met as David sat unceremoniously by my bedside and casually examined my injuries. "Not bad. Looks like you're healing well. David, could you do me another favor?" "My mother. She's here. Her body has been preserved. She's waiting for you to recover, so you can say goodbye properly." The mention of her death sent a wave of sorrow crashing through me. Now's not the time to cry. Pull yourself together. Turn your grief into strength. Hunt down the ones who destroyed your family and make them pay. His words felt like the winter sun, warm and golden, melting through the ice that had long frozen my heart. I wiped my tears and gave a firm nod. He was right. This wasn't the time to fall apart. With him beside me, I knew I could bring down Maverick and Alina. Go forward bravely. I'll clear the path for you. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Thank me later. From now on, call me David. He stood up, and a photo tucked in his pocket slipped onto the bed. I picked it up instinctively, intending to hand it back, but I froze when I saw the image. It was me, back in university. From the angle, it was a candid shot. Had David taken it in secret? He quickly snatched the photo back, his ears turning red. That reaction said everything. In that moment, I understood he had feelings for me. Now that his little secret had been exposed, he suddenly grew bold. "Yes, I like you. I've liked you since university. If not for my background, I would have never let you go." His unexpected confession left me stunned. But this wasn't the time to think about love. I had more pressing matters. I needed to arrange my mother's final rites. After the cremation, I brought her ashes to the cemetery and buried her beside my father. "Mom, rest in peace now. I promise, I will get justice for both of you." What Maverick didn't know was that I had a backup plan. I'd made a copy of the USB and intended to hand it over to the police once I was finally free of him. I wasn't naive enough to leave myself without a way out. But just as I was leaving the cemetery, I ran into Alina. Without Maverick around, she dropped the mask completely. Her true face, vile and mocking, surfaced. "So your mother finally kicked the bucket, too? You here to send them off, huh?" I walked up and punched her square in the face. "Where's my mother's leg bone? Hand it over. Damn you. How dare you hit me? Go ahead, hit me harder. If you leave me seriously hurt, Maverick will never let you off." "You're wrong. It's not that he won't let me off, it's that I won't let any of you off. Alina, my mother is already dead. Do you think I still care about my safety? To tell you the truth, I already made a copy of the USB. Every single crime, every disgusting threat and twisted boast of yours, I recorded it all." Chapter 9. Ah. You lunatic, how dare you? I shoved her to the ground. Why wouldn't I dare? I'm handing over all this evidence right now. With that, I turned and walked away coldly, while Alina chased after me in her car. Both vehicles roared down the road, engines howling at full throttle. I pushed my speed to the limit, weaving through traffic with precision. But Alina floored it too, ramming into me like a maniac. You bitch. I'll crash you to death. I'll reunite your whole damn family in hell. I'll crash you. I'll kill you. This is the same car I used to kill your dad. Ha ha ha. And now I'm sending you straight to him. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, forcing myself to stay calm. Seeing how I kept evading her attacks, Alina grew smug and arrogant. But just as she lunged to crash into me again, I let out a cold, sinister laugh, then yanked the wheel sharply. The tire screamed across the pavement. Alina hadn't expected my sudden swerve and slammed straight into the guardrail. Her car flipped over with a loud crash. But she didn't die. She was trapped inside, screaming and cursing like a madwoman. You bitch. You set me up. Ah. My leg. It hurts so much. I stepped out of the car, walked over slowly, and looked down at her with cold eyes. Tisk, TSK, TSK. Looks like your leg's finished. Aha. I'm going to kill you. You think only you can call the police? So can I. You're dumber than I thought. Call the cops all you want. They'll see the truth. Your car chased and rammed me, over and over. I've got the evidence. I was trying to flee, and you wrecked yourself. What's that got to do with me? Alina's eyes bulged with rage, but her face twisted in agony. Blood was pouring from her leg. Just one look, and I knew it was completely ruined. I called the police. When they arrived, Maverick showed up too. Right in front of him, I handed the evidence over to the officers, then turned and left with them. Maverick grabbed my hand. Ariella, are you okay? Don't touch me. You disgust me. You're probably disappointed I didn't die in that crash with Alina, right? No, that's not what I meant. I never. Whether you did or not isn't my concern. From now on, stay far away from me. Your precious woman's injured, isn't she? Check on her. Or are you still dreaming up ways to get rid of me? I shook off his hand. Just then, David arrived. He stepped in front of me and shielded me with his body, casting me a sharp, disapproving glare. You nearly scared me to death. There are so many ways to destroy them. Why would you choose this one? Then, without another word, he pulled me into his arms. His hands trembled as they wrapped around me. But I didn't want to rely on anyone. I wanted revenge on my terms. Only then could I truly grow. Seeing us like that, Maverick's face darkened. He lunged forward, hand outstretched, but David kicked him straight to the ground. In the end, we all ended up at the police station to give our statements. I didn't let Maverick off the hook either. I formally charged him for pushing my mother off the building. To his credit, he didn't deny it. He admitted everything without trying to escape the consequences. With concrete evidence, the truth finally came to light. Alina was found guilty of drunk driving, vehicular homicide, and fleeing the scene. The real footage was released to the public, and at long last, my father's name was cleared. Alina clung to Maverick, begging him to save her. But he sat there like a block of ice, not even sparing her a glance. She was sentenced to death for her crimes, including intentional homicide, drunk driving, and multiple felonies. The execution date was set for 1 month later. As for Maverick, who had knowingly aided a criminal and broken the law, he was sentenced to 7 years in prison. God knew that when I heard the judge personally read out their sentences, the taut string inside my heart finally snapped loose. Mom, Dad, did you see that? I finally avenged you both. When David came to pick me up, I collapsed into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. He gently comforted me. All right now, don't cry anymore. Let's go home. If we don't leave soon, it's going to rain. He wiped the tears from my cheeks and wrapped his arms around me, leading me quietly toward the car.